When YouTube began, there were so many prognosticators and conspiracy theorists and so many people interested in the various conspiracies that they had been hearing about and reading about, even through the mainstream media around the time of the late 90s, that really took off. And so, yeah, that's when Maury Povich had the special where they opened up Osiris's tomb in the 90s, late 90s, going into the year 2000. But the point is, there was an environment, and YouTubers were taking advantage of it. There was an environment where there was such a hunger and a need to know, or a desire to know about quote unquote conspiracies and hidden truths, that a lot of folks was able to get by just speculating. I was looking at a title to a video somebody had up of, it's been up for a few years, it's still up, hundreds of thousands of views, but it was titled something to the effect of possible strikes and moves of the New World Order global government. And I thought to myself, now what is that? Now the climate has changed. There are so many folks doing it now. See, before it was like you had the public kind of at arms because of 2012 and a lot of Mayan talk. And so they were scrambling around trying to see, who had something to say about it. And they really didn't discriminate as to whoever, because they want to know, the truth. Who may have it? This individual may have it. This individual may have it. Now, it's different. Okay? When YouTube began, it was a whole different ball game. A lot of truthers, a lot of conspiracy theorists. Now what you're seeing is, people have to hit it. You got to hit it now. You can't be all over the board and here and there and willy-nilly. And, ironically, there are a lot of news stories that can drive you here and there and make you go to and fro as this knowledge has increased. So we're not going to let it confuse us. We're going to stay focused. That's what we're fasting, primarily for clarity, always for healing, for more impartation of the Holy Spirit. But I mostly like to fast for clarity when there's a lot of clutter, too much action, and it's hard to zero in on what the focus should be according to the report of the Lord. And that's why I wanted to not delay this any longer. I gave fair warning. Perhaps I did not emphasize it enough in the last message, but I know it was made clear enough where some people got it. So, but again, we're going to do this regularly. I'm going to do it regularly. And I'm going to announce when I do it regularly. And when I do announce it, I also ask that the prayer warriors and those who may be unable to join give a special cover, because that is a time when the enemy is especially concerned about attacking you, figuring that perhaps you're physically weak or can be tempted, but also because of his fear that you will hear, you will gain something, you will get a revelation, you will get some restoration. You fast for a number of things. It is to go in conjunction with your prayer. Prayer and fasting is part of a believer's life. Now, there are many ways to fast. Again, I'm not going to do part 2 of what I already said. Okay, I do water. When I first started, I didn't just do water. I did liquid. I would drink Everfresh, get a big 32-ounce thing of Everfresh or 64 and nurse it all day long. And I started to see that would make me full. And yeah, ever fresh as sugar and all that type of stuff. So as the Lord advanced me in that, I got to the point where just get a big old jug of water and nurse it, and it'll make me full. Water makes me full. Okay, maybe you haven't drank enough of it. I like water, so I drink a lot of water. Even when I'm not fasting, I keep water by me. So, that's the way I'm gonna do it. And I've said before, I like to do, you know, 24 hours, or I like to do 72 hours, 3 days, or 5 days, or 7 days. It's just what the Lord has shown me about those time periods. But again, for those of you who are new, we don't want to exclude you. We don't want to keep you from being able to participate. So that's why I'm giving those other options this time. After we do this a couple times, I want us all to be on the exact same page. But his yoke is easy and his burden is light. Okay, and he sees and overstands all. He knows the heart of a man. So some people's heart is in it. Their flesh just can't stand up to it just yet. But I'm gonna tell you this: you will surprise yourself. A lot of times, sun up to sundown is what folks do to train themselves. All over the world, people do sun up to sundown fasts on the regular. So it can be done. Children do it, old folks do it. You can do, if you can't do nothing else, you can do sun up to sundown, nothing but water. Okay, now if you're doing sun up to sundown, I expect you to be drinking nothing but water. If you're gonna do 24, I'll give you a slide. You can do as I was allowed to do. He's no respecter of persons when I was first learning. And liquid only. And by liquid I mean juice. Milk didn't count. It's liquid meat. So, and let's get to the physiology and the biology of it. When your physical man is dominant over your spiritual man for so long, it can begin to mute the spiritual man, where you're unable to hear him as clearly. However, you are very in tune and in touch with your flesh. So we put a reversal on that by reconditioning the body and the mind concerning food. Okay, man does not live on bread alone. Okay, that's not just a catchy quote from scripture. It is the truth. The Lord will sustain you by his word. So we don't want your motivation or your inspiration to be losing weight. However, when you do the will of the Lord, you seek ye first the kingdom of God, all of the things shall be added unto you. You may receive certain benefits that you do not expect. Same. But what we're doing is we are amplifying the spiritual, and we are muting the physical. When you do that, clarity increases, because we see through a glass dimly, darkly. And the reason is usually because we look with our physical eyes, with our fleshly eyes, first and foremost at everything. Okay, that's enough on that. Now we're going to move on and move forward. I want to read this story to you. It was one of the most moving stories I've heard concerning ministry in a long, long time. But more importantly, I almost said renewed my faith in where ministry is today. But what it did was it gave me confirmation of what the Lord has had me to say to all of you. And that's that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Some folks wasn't ready for the type of minister that they imagined in their mind they deserved. But now, as the Lord has raised a lot of us up, taking us out of the muck and the mire, dusted us off a little taste, and giving us some discernment by the Holy Spirit, now that level of minister that many have been craving and wondering, where are they at? Where's it at in my city? They are on the scene. And I'm going to show and prove, not show and tell, by reading this story. Okay? 1 second. Okay, now when I first heard this story, I did not know that it was from 2013. When you send me links, please do note when it's from. Just note that for yourself, but, give me a heads up as to what the link is about, because if there's no description of the link, I get a lot of links. The likelihood that I'm going to click on one that I have no idea what it is very small, slight. But this story is considered to be a possible hoax. It went viral, but let's look deeper at it. This is what I got from it. A lot of folks write and say, well, where is there a place where I can learn like we learn here? They're out there. They have to be out there. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. The Lord will provide a thing only after you are ready to handle it. Like a good father only gives a good gift after he knows that you can be a proper steward over that gift. He's not going to give you something with the full knowledge that you're going to squander it. Or he will only let you have a little. You have to show yourself to be faithful over a little in order to be faithful over much, in order to have control or be a boss over much. And even when you think you're a boss, if the Lord gave it to you, he's only allowing for you to be a steward over that. He's allowing for that to be in your charge. Like the angels take charge, he sends his angels to have charge over you, lest you dash your foot against a stone. It does not mean that the angels are over you. Okay? Does not mean that the angels own you. So different things that the Lord puts you in charge of. Ministries, households. Your wife don't belong to you, nor does your children. Understand what I'm saying? Not like a slave belong to a master, and not like you belong to the Most High. So we have to look at the things that the Lord gives us charge over. Okay, now, and treat them as such. Now, the Lord has given some of you a new body of knowledge to be charged over, to be a steward over. And with that new body of knowledge comes new levels of responsibility. To whom much is given, much is indeed required. So I believe that the call is coming now for the new school to come on ahead and rise up. Begin to do the new things. This does not have to be a hoax. There are new pastors coming and going all the time. There are new ministries being born all the time. Here you have a forum where you don't have to have a building. What had kept me back was that. Unbeknownst to me at the time, because I didn't know what all of this was going to be. But The Lord is ready to raise those things up now. Okay, like the adage, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You also have another one like it. Necessity is the mother of invention. Something will be created once it's needed. There was no need for that level of minister. I don't care what folks felt and thought. The numbers were so few. And even among those of us who, were lofty minded and high minded and scholastically inclined and academically inclined and took the time to read and research about the Lord and the ancient languages and the ancient cultures, we wasn't ready. Because our minds was too filled with the knowledge of science, so-called. Some of that had to break away. So now there is a time for a new ministry today. Now, I'm sure some of you, especially those of y'all that comb the web, looking for interesting stories, have run across this, certainly. It was in the Huffington Post. It was in theblaze.com, Reddit. Okay, but Bishop dresses as homeless man to teach lesson. Now they're saying that it was Pastor Jeremiah Stepak, and like I said, the first thing that pops up is a hoax. Now hold on, let's say this now. Before we get off into any speculation or confirmation of that. Again, look at the point of what I just said. Okay, now is the time where pastors who will think of doing these type of things. Now you have new platforms and you have new wine, okay, being poured out from the Lord himself, who's poured out his spirit upon all men in these times, but especially to the ministry. He's given the ministry what they need for this time period. And it's to be bold and to come up with new and creative things from the Creator in order to bring in his creations before their destruction. Now, and then also let us not forget this. Those of us who were raised under the knowledge, beliefs, and the pro-black conscious sciences that taught things like King James was homosexual and had sex with his mother. These were things that people who were in those belief systems were taught, as was I. Okay, now it took many moons for me to begin to unravel and just think with some game about myself as to, well, if there is a Luciferian agenda, if there is a conspiracy involving Luciferians, anti-Messiah individuals, if that is true, and everything at that point in time was showing me that it was, that they was devils. So if this was true, anything that validates the Messiah or the scriptures, or how do you get rid of demons, any of those things that could possibly threaten the Luciferian order, well, those things have to be hidden, suppressed, denied, and slandered. Don't that make sense to you? I mean, do you think in the devil's world you could pick up the devil's books from the devil's universities and get the truth about the Messiah? Or anything surrounding scripture, the canon, the Torah, Hebrew, Aramaic? Where's the sources? There's no brotherhood tainting in the source where we get the information that we hold up as credible, academically sound. So that's why that's foolishness to wisdom of man, foolishness to God. So for those who haven't heard the story, I'm going to paraphrase it because it's easy to paraphrase. I'm just going to paraphrase it because I see it's several ones here. And supposedly this is a Mormon congregation, according to the Huffington Post. So again, we're not looking at that part of it. Okay, let me just lay this out for you. For you ministers and pastors out there, some of you are pastors. You have a church already. You have people that's already ready to be set up as a congregation. You already have a group of people who would readily receive you if you step out on faith, a little taste. But this is our time, young brother ministers and young sister ministers. This is our time. By his guidance, all things by Proverbs 3 and 5. Come on now. Okay, we're not going our own way. We're not making up our own ideas. It's got to go by what the books say. However, we've been exposed to a lot of avenues and ways to get your point across, your message heard or seen. And we've also seen some very creative ways that people have used to get attention for nothing, for some foolishness on YouTube, you know, because they cat got an angry face, whatever. So now we are in a climate where people are more open and receptive to you doing some different things. I love to watch social experiments, kind of like what would you do, kind of like what would you do, but what would you do? I see their agenda now too. They really push the pink hand, you know, on every episode. Now there's a social experiment showing how you need to not mistreat gay people, you know, but which is true. You shouldn't mistreat anyone, but even taking it further than that, as an endorsement on the low. I mean, you know, you got eyes to see, you can tell that. But this is a social experiment, okay? And again, I like the creativity of the idea, and this is something that I would definitely do. Okay, a pastor has become the head of a new has become the head of a congregation, a previously established congregation. So he's not met them yet. So when he gets ready to meet them, and again, I'm paraphrasing. I'm telling it the way we need to learn from it. Hoax or not, Mormon or not, okay, it's time to get creative and industrious. Quit sitting around there with your mouth halfway closed, talking about you singing hymns. Get busy. Go boulevard hard for the Almighty God. But a pastor gets ready to take the helm of this church. So supposedly he and the deacons knew about this social experiment he was going to do. And so they were in on it. But the congregation was not. So he dresses up as a homeless man. Nah, I laid outside the church, greeted everybody as they walking by. I'd have laid right up against the door. And, you know, just to see how folks, you know, play you. And he did that. And of course, the members of the congregation treated homeless people like people treat homeless people. Well, that's a strong. I have a strong feeling about homeless people and how they should be treated, and that many times folks have entertained angels unaware, looking down on someone that they think is a bum and should not even be there. They in your way, messing up your view, slowing you down for what you think you got to do. But how did they get there in the first place? They messed up somewhere along the way. Well, that may have been true. But if not for the grace of God, there go you. Then you mess up too. It'll make you better. Can't stand that type of stuff. So anyway, so of course, the congregation walks by him, so on and so forth. So he ask can he come in? They kind of skittish with him at first, but they let him come in. He wants to come sit up in the front. They don't want him to sit up in the front and mess up the aesthetics or whatever. So he's escorted to the back, and he's sitting in the back. And so the deacons or the other ministers, they come up and they say, well, we want to introduce you to our new pastor. And the congregation stand up and do like they do, clapping and grinning from ear to ear, I'm sure, happy to see the man, sure that he's about to pop out in a exquisite suit and tie, some exquisite lizards. And as they looking on the stage for him to come from the back, instead of that, the homeless man comes walking. He comes walking down the aisle from the back of the church where he was made to sit. And folks started realizing what they had done. And supposedly, he explained to them, that he was their pastor and that he did that because he wanted to see if he really had a body of Christ there, or did he just have a group of people? See, a group of people treat the homeless one way. People in the body treat the homeless another. Have mercy. Yeah. People of the world respond one way to getting cut off in traffic. People of the body respond another way. People of the world respond one way to hearing about another person's problems, tragedies, or fears. And people of the body respond another way. Choose this day whom you will serve. Okay, now let's move forward to the paper now. But that like I said, that's a story from 2 years ago, and it's dubious if it's true. But I don't see why it would not be true. As a matter of fact, I believe that ain't the first time I've heard of something like that being done. So, but again, my point is to illustrate to you young ministers out there that just now is the time to be bold, to take the things that you've learned from watching social experiments and looking at how people get attention on YouTube, looking at how things are done, and without disrespecting the faith, without going into the temple and setting up tables with the money changers, doing it the best you can with the Lord guiding your creative hand. He gave it to you. Okay, let me look at this paper. Okay, now as far as continuing with second Esdras, and that's the sound of me moving the laptop. The hinges are bold, and so every time I adjust the screen, you hear something. That's what you hear. Okay, but we're gonna do that by time. We're gonna see what the time is looking like and try to make everything timely. Again, it's so that I can get these things up, because while I'm trying to get one thing up, I may have to wait until that thing gets put up before I can put up something else. Sometimes I have 2-3 things ready, I just can't put them up, all at one time. it makes me wait a long time to upload to YouTube, but then there's the uploading to the PC. So just do bear with me. I'm trying to make things better. But I had something that the Lord had given me to write, and I wanted to share that. Um, and be sure to be more in tune with His schedule. Okay, because the best laid plans of mice and men often go astray. Man plans, but God is the best of planners. So I'm going to read from off of this paper, and then if time permits, we will look again at Esdras. And the reason that we look at the book of Ezra, the book of Enoch, or the book of Joshua is so that we can understand more clearly what the Messiah meant when he made the multi-layered statement that as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the last days, to paraphrase. So we need to know exactly what was going on in the days of Noah. Now we have only one account that most of us will draw from. However, biblically referenced apocryphal texts can help to bring clarity. And the two that scholars agree upon, and we go hard on scholars, but we know these are not the anti-Christian scholars. These are the scholars whose mission it is to promote the gospel, even by academic means. Okay, we need those people too. So they agree that Enoch and Joshua are most authentic, although they're not part of the canon, partially because Enoch is quoted. The book of Enoch is quoted by the Messiah. Joshua is also quoted. So these books are referred to. So that means that in the time of the writing of the scriptures, the prophets of the day knew about the existence of these books and knew about the credibility of these books. And all it takes is a lightweight look into Enoch, and it opens up a whole new world of what Genesis 6 was about. Genesis 6 was not just about the flood and giants in those days. It was about the influence of the fallen overtaking earth and the genetic assault that the fallen angels made upon all creation. Genesis, genes is. It's all about genes. Okay. Whose genes is this and whose genes is that? Have mercy. But Genesis chapter 6 is where we find the days of Noah referred to in our King James 66 books. In the King James 1611, you would also find the book of Enoch. The book of Enoch gives the most detail concerning these things. They really can fill in all the blanks. And if a person can't or does not want to get any additional information from approved extra biblical text, then so be it. But the one that I would really say that a person can get the most from, if they're really trying to learn about what does it mean in the days of Noah, would be the book of Enoch. Now the book of Joshua too, just as much, because they both will give confirmation of something that the modern church, the modern run-of-the-mill commercialized church, does not want to touch, because it would bring the congregation into the reality of how close we are to the end times, and they wouldn't be able to be so feel goody in them goody type commercial churches, because the people that go there don't go. Excuse me. Some of the people that go there are going there for the feel goodiness, and yes, it's called the good news. Okay, but we should be not ignorant of the devil's devices, and we have to be watchful and pray. And it's foolish to be able to discern from the clouds that it's going to rain, but you can't tell what season we are in concerning the coming of the Son of Man. So when we align the scripturally endorsed apocryphal texts like Enoch and Joshua with what we know about Genesis 6 in the days of Noah, the meaning of Nephal, to fall, Nephilim, is the fallen, not the giants. The fallen had created ways to inseminate women. This resulted in the birth of Rapha, which was the offspring or the Titans in Greek myth, right? So, but what they did was they see, you say, well, how can an angel, an angel can change his shape, but a giant, the giants would, of course, anatomically be unable to mate with normal sized women. So they would destroy them in the process. Then they began to have to figure out technical ways to insert semen into the women. And this is where you get all the stuff of today about stem cell research and test tube babies, and even more importantly, concerning the mixing of human and animal genes. It directly relates to the days of Noah. What a coinky dink. So we can look at the news today, and if we can see the days of Noah another way, we can understand exactly what Messiah was attempting to portray in saying that which the Father had him to say. These days today will look like it did back then, but see, we are given this fairy tale, oftentimes by those who make depictions of biblical times, but we're given this fairy tale that, there's a bunch of sheep and sand and sandals and robes. But it was more like Star Wars. Can you feel me? Where you saw sand and tauntauns, sandals and robes, but machines, robots, hybrids, beasts. You dig it? Okay. So that's why we look at those books. I had that question, and yes, do pray for Sister Aaron's daughter. She's undergoing a process, and so we want to add prayers to the medical process that she's undergoing, and just ask the Lord would guide the hands of all of those who are involved so that it would be successful. Also to Sister Davis, we had a laugh. She got 4 boys. I said, have mercy. I had 4 boys. I don't know what I'd do. Start a basketball team. But, they're around that age. So, we want to pray for those young men. Pray for them to have oneness with the mind of Christ. Pray for their minds to not be overcome and overtaken by all the temptations of this new world that they live in. Young brothers and sisters, we face different dangers than they do today. Walking home from school and getting jumped by a BK was one thing. There are gangs of individuals who are not only raping young ladies in front of their young boyfriends, but even raping young men raping young men, groups. These are the days of Noah. And the perils that the young people face today are like none that I've ever faced. Just consider this. Let's say you had several young boys. Well, young boys like young girls. Now, when you start to feeling yourself and smelling yourself and scratching yourself too, as a young man, and girls are new, it's a natural thing that young men gravitate to, and they have for, according to some cave paintings, thousands of years. Now, the Lord tells us that if you look at a woman in lust, it is the same as uh, engaging in the act. And it would be better that you would pluck out your eye than to allow for yourself to suffer and perish for fornication. Well, fornication is a word, we've talked about it many times. It comes from porne. Porne is the original, and that is a demon spirit of lust and perversion, deviant sexual behavior. So fornication was beyond, old folks kind of sometimes reduce something to the simplest meaning. Fornication was, having sex out of wedlock, because that was considered deviant behavior. Do you understand? But it was also all the other forms of pornication. You get it? California. So when we was coming up, you know, before folks came home, you had to find and locate. I'll tell you, it was like Man from Uncle or James Bond. You had to find and locate the Player magazine. You had to clean up after yourself. Return said magazine, all before somebody get home. Nowadays, the young people that's walking down the street right now with a phone in their pocket got porn in their pocket. Instant porn. I remember it wasn't until I got up in my 30s and I was in the studio with a crazy engineer who thought it would be funny when we was taking a break to show us something tripped out, and something tripped out was bestiality. A horse doing it to a lady. And trust me, I was not where I am now. But I wasn't pleased. But it took me to Australia to see something like that. Guess what? 9, 10 years old. I'm telling you, if they got a phone, if they got a smartphone, they can. I'm sure dirty magazines I'm sure they're out of business, because from a smartphone they can look at a picture, anything they want to see, and if they so desire a moving picture, they can do that too. So the young men and young women, people give men an excuse by trying to make it sound like they the only ones charged up like that around that age and afterward for some of you. But the demon of porne seeks to devour all. Okay, destroy people's lives, the lives of the sisters and brothers in the industry, as well as the lives of those who watch. And unfortunately, for a young person new to sex and sexuality, there's so much deviant information out here for them. Okay, that when there's so much strange stuff going on the normal or on the regular, it makes it appear as if it's normal to you if you grow up in something strange. You understand what I'm saying? So see, they growing up in something strange, and their definition of normal has been terribly skewed. Again, the elders, the unks, the big bros, big cousins, big nieces. It's up to you. It's up to you to bridge that gap. Because see, we saw these things coming in. We were the generation really that built the bridge to get this generation at hand to where they are. They are our children. They're the age of our children. Okay. If I had had one when I was 20, they'd be 22 right now in full effect out here wreaking havoc in Detroit. But no. But we raise up a child in the way they shall go, and they shall not depart. All young men go through that struggle and eventually overcome, especially if they let the Lord come into them and help them to remember the way that they was raised. Okay. Raise up a child in the way they shall go, they shall not depart. So if you give them the proper foundation, in God's time, He will ensure that they see things the right way. And of course, you teach them that the way that women are viewed in this society is deplorable, especially with the rising of Caitlyn. The rising of Caitlyn did such a terrible thing to the esteem of the women worldwide, who already were having, the brakes beat off of them by media and the standards of beauty that are unfair, to all. We used to focus on how it was only, or it was so obviously unfair to people of color. They make it where, can't nobody look good enough nowadays. Everybody got to have a kit, drop top, duals. You kit it up like a car. Maybe you wasn't supposed to have that big old booty. Maybe the Lord did not allow for you to have it because He knew that you would not be able to handle it. Huh? Hey. Maybe the Lord wouldn't give you them green eyes because He knew that you was going to work them the wrong way. Huh? Try to be seductive with your eyes. Work somebody. Eyes are the windows to the soul. If anything ought to be real, let that be. Have mercy. Up or up. Yeah, that's right. It go on both sides. Brothers do a different type of thing for cosmetic, such as spending, pretending and spending. Have mercy. Trying to make it look like you got it and you don't. Flogging, perpetrating, false flagging. Hey, be real. Keep it 100. Some people prefer that. You ain't got a lot to kick it. Huh? It don't get you nowhere, no way. But, you go to a club, for those who do, I'm sure it's like a liar's club now. She lying, he lying. What you gonna see? Who's gonna outlie the other? Lord. So, but I just had to say that because we laughed about that email because first thing I try to do is put myself in somebody's shoes when they write me about something, how I would feel about it, and then I let the Lord lead me from there. But we laughed about a little taste because if I had 4 little nappy-head boys running around here, I would never get to talk to y'all. I'm sure. It worried me to death. But no, they wouldn't, because I'd have mine in line. Believe that, like some soldiers, and they all will be in time, and she will have hers in line too in time because she's raised them up in the way that they should go. So that's the bottom line. And anyone else who needs specific prayer for something, do not hesitate to specify what you need prayer for in the comment section below this video. Now I'm going to read from this that the Lord had given me to give to you. Let me make sure here, because there were a couple of other notes. Oh yes, okay, all right. I'm going to end with that reading because I see what the time looking like. But dreams, Now is also the time. Dreams and figurines. I've had several emails that gave me the indication that now is the time where the astral battlefield, the astral theater of war is in full effect. People are having those dreams now. Okay. And, I think this is all, oddly coming close to the time of the Pope. Now, when I say those dreams, I mean it seems as if people are having dreams that are like re-educating dreams or re-indoctrinating dreams. Like, okay, we want to switch around your body of knowledge somehow, or we want to train you in this somehow. And it can be from the good side or the bad side, but 9 times out of 10, if it leaves you in some confusion or doubt, it's probably not of the Father. Okay? Or, it's probably not sent as a message from Him directly for you to do this and do that. But I do believe what it is that, they go spiritual first. When I say they, I mean the Illuminati. They look at the spiritual aspect of something first. They attack there first. It weakens the physical. So which is weak already, but with the spiritual under attack, the physical ain't got nothing coming. So they are in the astral realm right now. They have warriors who are trained to battle on the astral realm. That's why witches and warlocks deal with astral projection. Okay, which is an actual phenomenon. A demon lifted me up and made me think I did it. So they use this assistance from demons in the astral realm in order to wage an attack on believers from another position on the field. Let's say that. So it is, I think, especially imperative that you read the night terror prayer before you go to sleep at night. Now, I've said to folks several different times, several different ways. You take a prayer, or you can look at the prayers in the prayer pack the way you do your medicine when a doctor gives you that pack of medication. He may say take it until it's all gone, or he may say take it once a day every 6 hours. I want you to deal with those prayers in that manner, especially for those of you who have especially more serious issues. Okay, and because we believe in the medicine of man, and according to the word, if there's any sick among you, it don't say take them to Sinai grace. So if there's any sick among you, we're supposed to be able to deal with that. And what the Messiah gave us, we're supposed to be able to heal with that. Hello? So again, we'll never do greater works if we don't begin to step out and attempt the works. Okay? And attempt the works. I'm not like those who say, well, don't never take them to the doctor, because I do believe that the Lord have blessed, especially in a society that's full of mess and true lies and people all confused. The Lord would have had to have blessed some doctors with the skill and some believing doctors. I have met them before, okay, who know that they ain't the ones healing nothing. They ain't doing nothing but practicing. Okay, but the Lord may have given them a blessing in their hands or in their brains to where He can access them and use them to heal others. So I'm not anti-doctor in that respect, but I do believe the first thing we should do, just like the first thing the enemy does, he looks at the spiritual ramifications first. We should be able to do the same thing. So when someone is sick, the first thing we should look at is the spiritual ramifications, and oftentimes that sickness can be caused by some spiritual attack. So the dreams and visions that people are having, that the Lord said that folks would have in these days and times, they are coming to fruition. Some very interesting ones. I ain't gonna tell them all. I mean, I ain't gonna tell none of them. But well, maybe I'll tell mine. I had the strangest dream I've ever had before. I dreamed about Obeezy. I don't recall dreaming about Obeezy before. And Obeezy and me was making a backroom deal. Some sort of way. Now I remember the feeling in the dream was as if I was oblivious, as if I was so excited about one thing I was oblivious about another, which is not me. But I can remember looking at myself in the dream. You know, sometimes a dream is as if you're playing a third person video game, a first person video game, first person shooter, where you don't see your body, you just see your hands in front of you because you're looking out of your eye sockets. This wasn't one of them dreams. This was a dream where I saw Theodore Jackson. I'm looking at me. And I'm looking at me and I was happy. And we were somewhere in some facility. Again, it put me in the mind of a school. And at one point in it, yeah, right, that's right, because it was school people in this dream too. It's just not coming to me, but I'm just going to cut to this part and then I'm through. At one point in it, I was standing with another group of people, and we were singing. And it seemed like to me we were singing gospel. It seemed like to me I was singing gospel with great skill, much better than I can sing at all. You know, I mean, you know, I can't sing at all. I was singing with great skill. And the disturbing part about it was when I looked back at that dream, it seemed like to me I was singing for Obama. Maybe I watched the Boondocks episode too many times. But of course, that was an indoctrination dream for me. Okay? So that's how I know that's what these dreams are supposed to be. These dreams are supposed to get you to turn around. Supposed to get your mindset to turn around. First thing they do when they attack something, when they wage war, when these devils of this nation wage war, first thing they do is what? They tell you all the time. Get the what of the people? Get the hearts and minds of the people. Your heart and your mind is a big part of your dream, is it not? So yeah, so that's what happened there. So that's going on now. So the other things I told you to do to protect yourself during the night seasons, okay, such as getting on YouTube and typing in song KJV audio. Find one that agrees with you. Okay, a couple good ones is Mere Christian is my favorite, and KJV Crazy is good. But let it play. Just let it play. Like steady B. All right. Now, okay, guys. Okay. So let's be aware concerning our dreams. This is not the time for you to go to sleep with a mind full of schemes or negativity. Don't let the sun go down on your anger. There's a lot of reasons for that. You understand? Especially now, when the enemy not playing. Now, because of his total disillusionment with the promise of the American dream, man began to see life as a joke, a popularity contest. So he guessed he just best thrill seek. He might as well thrill seek and just live life to the extreme. This taste for the extreme. We began to get fascinated with seeing the unbelievable, testing and challenging nature and death, just to get a buzz, cause to feel something, to get some reward from this unrewarding life began to become the goal of many young folks, disillusioned and disappointed with the dream. Many began to even equate the dream with being more of a nightmare. It's called the American Dream because you need to be asleep to believe it. That was George Carlin, I think. Some feel the need to conquer the elements. Faces of death desensitized us and helped us redefine violence as fun. Violence was not always considered a part of fun. Lots of variables went into moving society in a direction that could redefine violence and redefine sex right up under the noses of the most watchful stewards of society, ministers and um, scholars alike. Let's continue, because there was a time when we did have men of scholarly pursuit who were believers. Okay. And faces of death did help to desensitize us for where we are today. Okay. As did wrestling and the action movies and cop shows of the last 40 years. I would have done something on Roddy Piper. I used to really be a WWF fan. And though my favorite was Macho Man, I had to like Piper by default because I couldn't stand Hulk Hogan. But after he made They Live, I was really anxious to see about his point of view, where he came from. So I had to watch some interviews about him, and he talked about how they molested him as well. The old school wrestlers had molested him too. So it's all through and through. But interesting, when you find this, wherever you find this culture of celebrated violence, you'll also find this sexual deviance right along with it, just like you did with the Giants. I heard Sherry Shriner, who, latter interviews is one thing, but in her very beginning interviews, when she was really just a reluctant wife trying to get control over her divorce and her life, she had mentioned how the Navy SEALs were Swedish. And a Navy SEAL. So that puts Jesse the Body, and I'd heard something about Jesse the Body and Schwarzenegger being at some gay event or whatever, and so, but it all makes sense and it all ties together. Okay, the increase, the desensitization of a nation towards sexual deviance and extreme violence. Okay, step by step, incrementally. Well, wrestling helped. The action movies and cop shows of the last 40 years helped. Wait, Dusty Rhodes just died too. I mean, it's, it would be too much. But see, we put the big blanket definition on what's happening right now. The double cross, out with the old, in with the new. Okay, it's a new Rowdy, right? The female MMA fighter, she called herself Rowdy now. And after he officially gave her the endorsement for the name. Thank you, brother. Brother turned me on to that. I tried to write you back a nice, funny, gentlemanly response, and it said that the email wasn't connected or something. So I don't know. So if you're really out there, brother, send me your email. So I appreciated that tidbit. But I forget her name. Her name was Ronda Rousey or something like that. And so she wouldn't call herself Rowdy. And of course that's trademarked by him. Okay, but the action movies and the cop shows the last 40 years did their job doing the same thing. Giving us all the idea that sometimes the police has to go a little bit above and beyond their duties. They might have to even bend the law a little taste to get some of these criminals behind bars. And we saw roughhouse tactics looking at Starsky and Hutch when they snatch up Huggy Bear. But by the time it got to Law and Order, we saw evidence tampering and all type of things in so many episodes. But again, if it's the good guys doing it, It programs the mind in the subconscious mind. See, that's where your real thoughts is at. You think you know your thoughts because you're in tune with your conscious mind. Some of you are too in tune with your conscious mind. You're only aware of what's out front. You're very in tune with the superficial. But get deep, you know. Get deep. Look into the deeper recesses of the mind. Okay, but so they've been conditioning our minds, deeply conditioning our minds, to accept martial law by way of cop shows showing police brutality as part of a normal investigation. Yeah, they did. So now, although it seems that they're doing some damage, it may look as if some damage is being done to that psyop. It's not very effective damage, because at the end of the day, the old police will go away and the martial law, the military police, will be in full effect and here to stay. And their tactics will be much more brutal. Man, is all that necessary? Man act like he can't pick up the dumpster and go on ahead. If I pause, I'm gonna mess up. Okay. So, Lord have mercy. So yes, so we have allowed for our society to get degraded in sex and violence. This has helped to condition our minds for the coming new world order in a variety of ways. It has also helped to marginalize women, further marginalize women, because now men have two to choose from. Yeah, women and men that act like women. Now they've always been around, they've always been out, but never has there been the technology and the desire for mankind to go so far with it. Okay, and make it seem so convincing, on a wide scale. It's all throughout Hollywood. The young rappers is gone off the trannies. They turned them out. I told y'all about that many videos ago, didn't I? Before it was a young thug. Okay. Now, in order to feel a little, man must do a lot. He's messed up his tolerance now. His tolerance for sex, his tolerance for violence, his appetite has become insatiable. His appetite for destruction, for recreation, has grown insatiable. Look at his idea of a joke. Look at some of the things people call pranks. A best friend sock his other friend with a melon on his hand. And socked him good. And they laughing about it. Now, I don't know how to view that, because I'm old school. Perhaps I can view that as a new level of toughness and camaraderie that may be needed in battle. But my first mind is telling me, y'all don't even know the limits and boundaries of violence with each other as friends. It's almost as if watching Wile E. Coyote chase the Road Runner, which was violent enough, has finally had its effect. When you see the kids launch a giant monster truck tire off of a catapult and land in the crotch of a young man laying on the field. On purpose, he's laying there for this giant monster truck tire to come down on his crotch. And they all laugh. Ho, ho. Now, I understand. Some of it is about that bread. You're trying to get that YouTube hit. I get it. But again, we have to apply all things to what the good book says. It's part of man being able to do everything he imagined that he could do in his mind. Okay, doing too much, personified, and overboard, going overboard with everything that he does do. You know, we as a television-based culture in America, we were subjected to seeing shocking video ever so often. Bloopers were popular because they were rare. America's Funniest Home Videos encouraged folks to tape dumb stuff and the mundane just so they could win a prize and be on TV, even if it may cost them a terrible injury. People say most of the injuries that people incur are made in the house. I'm sure that has only increased since the inception of YouTube and the other sites. Facebook just as bad, where folks want to catch something on camera to make them more likable and popular. The gawking at crash curiosity level. People pass by a crash when you're driving down the highway. People's curiosity level makes them want to gawk. That gawking curiosity level is on crack. Man not only wants to see the wreck, but man will risk being involved in one just for the cheap thrill of cheating death, if not for the possibility of 1 million views. All the while increasing our appetite for the phenomenon that would be titled reality TV. Now remember, all these things I named is before reality TV. Dominating. Okay. And they fed us reality TV by feeding Springer to a society, Jerry Springer. They fed Springer to a society that was in desperate need or a desperate search for reasons to feel good about their situation, if only for 30 minutes even. And for some folks, the quickest way from point A to point B, the quickest way from feeling bad about yourself to feeling good about yourself, is to make somebody else feel bad. This Jerry Springer show became a modern stoning exhibition, as the simple or the less educated and the impoverished were the stars of the show. Okay, they were exploited for laughs, okay, and for cheap shots, because at the end everybody gets to stand up and throw their stone. Oh, you in the red plaid. You ain't nothing. You no. So you get to stand up. You ain't about nothing. You ain't about no better than they are. As long as they air you out, but that's your chance to stand up and feel like you're somebody better than. The ancient tactic of putting others down and exploiting the poor moved from being the private joy and entertainment for the elite to becoming the popular fast fodder for the huddled masses. See, that was once a thing that the elite liked to do, to just sit around and watch the poor be exploited. Jerry Springer, they brought that to the masses. Isn't that interesting? In a mainstream manner. Now, when you first started seeing the most shocking videos and things of that nature, clinical psychiatrists can be seen on the oldest, most shocking videos. Why? Trying to explain some of the behavior. Now, why would you need a clinical psychologist to explain some of the behavior? Because in the 90s, some of the behavior that we've become accustomed to because of reality TV, because of seeing most shocking videos, because of seeing shocking videos on the news every day, several times a day, we've become desensitized. However, back in those times, people saw that stuff as weird because it was weird. But see, things hadn't gotten redefined. It takes them a little time to redefine something. They've redefined sex, they've redefined violence, they've redefined marriage. It takes a little time to do those things, does it not? So in the interim, the clinical psychologists oftentimes who have the skills of handlers, their job may be to explain it away or put people at ease concerning it, or just simply, really because at that time still some of the behaviors and things you see on tape would be so outrageous, they would just have to give some sort of clinical explanation for what sort of mental issue is this person suffering from to cause them to do this, or what type of thinking, warped thinking, would cause a person to do this. Okay, and so you would see clinical psychologists inserted from time to time in the old, most shocking videos. The fact that you don't see that anymore is the fact that you don't need that anymore. We don't need it. Nobody got to explain it. We know that's how everybody is. We understand their thinking. We can even identify with the thinking of a psycho better today than ever before. Let me continue to read. Taking risks becomes easier when you have nothing to lose. So see, they've pushed a lot of folks into that bag, into that bottleneck. Folks, economy, people finances and economics is not straight. People have lost a lot of the things that they felt like they could not afford to lose and live. Some of the nephews walk around with a tattoo they wrote on their face. He done gave up. He just said, man, bump it. Ain't nothing in this world for me. I ain't finna get out here and get hired. It ain't gonna happen. So people have gotten to this point of having nothing to lose, and that is a dangerous, dangerous point for a human being to get to because of what it means spiritually. Once you've gotten to that point, now you can be invaded. And you will be invaded. First and foremost, abandonment, rejection, resentment, all those things, because you resent that you can't get that job at such and such. You feel abandoned. You feel rejected by the world. So when the world rejects you so much, sometimes a person's response back to that is, well, I'm going to reject it. And unfortunately, they don't reject the worldly world or the secular world. You understand? But they tend to reject the world that the Lord has assembled around them, their world, their family, their loved ones, people who will tell them something right. So this having nothing to lose is very key right now in these final times of Revelation, in these last days, in these times coming up, especially. Because, when it gets wild in the streets, when it gets wild, those who have nothing to lose, they're going to gain a lot. They're going to gain a lot really fast. Now, whether they're able to hold on to it is different. It takes a different mentality to keep something. Okay. But a lot of those folks, they're going to be used as pawns in the Black Awakening. Yeah, because without even being programmed on any official level, they are programmed with an official devil. Having nothing to lose, resignation from life, bump it. So those 3-4 spirits is going to ride around in them until the legs fall off. And in that time period, it may be literally. So you want to be able to detach from the things of this material realm so that the loss of them won't cripple you or hinder you from being able to move forward. Yes, you want to do that. But you don't want to be where you feel as if you have nothing to lose in your mind, and that includes your life, unless you're giving it for the body of Christ. Taking risks becomes easier when you have nothing to lose. You begin feeling immortal. You begin to trust in technology when you have nothing to lose. Also, you're not trusting or faithful in things of the spirit, but you do believe in your technology. Okay? You believe if you pay that bill on such and such a day, the phone supposed to be on by such and such a time, and it's supposed to be on for so many days. Your boss say you get paid on Friday. You believe that's what's going to happen. You have faith in that. You have faith in that like the sun coming up. So we trust in the chariots. We trust in the things of this world, while feeling immortal and being made ignorant of physics and basic universal laws. That's a recipe for disaster. Can you imagine that? An individual who feels immortal, who trusts in technology, and is ignorant of physics and spirituality. Well, they are a perfect vessel. And that's what's being created, ladies and gentlemen, on a mass scale daily. And I'm going to tell you this, some believers will fail me. They won't fail me, they're going to fail the Messiah. Some believers will back that thing up like juvenile when it start going down. Please believe it. Oh, please believe it. Going to be a whole lot of believers. Let me tell you something. When they bring that alien out, man, talk about, I believe it. There's going to be people with all kind of belief systems that's going to switch up. And see, we might be ripe for that time. Either Francis is going to come here and say, yes, we ready to introduce them to the world. We've been kicking it with them for a little taste. Or, well, yes, we see them in the Lucifer telescope there. They coming. They on the way. They signaling us. They letting us know. But I do believe that it's all a setup for that, because that will enable religion to be put in one man's hand. If he's the go-between. You see what I'm saying? But see, between him and Obama, they need them two to make everybody calm. Obama to make black folks calm, and, blue-collar folks and whatnot, make them calm. And then you need the Pope to make the millions of Catholics calm, and the other believers who just arbitrarily think the Pope is cool. So, but over time, this same increased appetite for aggression made manifest the phenomenon of road rage. Road rage is another relatively new phenomenon. Roads and cars have been around over a century, but road rage is relatively new in comparison. And what it boils down to is the belief that your time means more than others' lives. Not that it's always about somebody going too slow, but oftentimes it is, And perhaps the person is being what they call cautious when you call them being slow. Let's continue. All of this escalation, as we see it, was in line with increasing police power and the law and order driven acceptance of once questionable tactics. Anger management issue, another new term. That comes from having an overinflated sense of self-importance. How can you don't need to manage your anger. You need to shut up somewhere and sit down somewhere for somebody to go upside your head. In reality, anger management. So to make you sound important. No, you got an emotion problem. You and your emotions too much. You need to balance that with intellect. Feed yourself some different things. But oftentimes, along with that spirit of anger, there's an overinflated sense of self-importance, the spirit of pride. The need to be right, the spirit of pride. And the me first mentality, the spirit of pride. Evidence of the pride spirit, which is what made Lucifer fail, and Rome, and Egypt. And it is really what caused the pride, the fall of man. Okay, to want to look at yourself as being godlike. Some people believe that they can create a better self for themselves than the Lord can. The Lord didn't put my line right. The Lord didn't make my eyebrows right. The Lord didn't make my beard connect where it's supposed to. Hey, yo, Dre, can you just spray that in before you get through fading me up? You just spray it in with that beard stuff. Nah, man. What's in the beard stuff? Oh, man, it's all safe. Otherwise, they wouldn't sell it. Go ahead, Goober. I'm telling you now. See, you gonna do what you want to do, male and female. But my warning to you is about, I'm telling you, they're gonna jam you up with the chemicals in there. Because now they at the end. If they whole steez is forget you anyway, then now they about to let it all hang out. That's what this is all about. The double cross, the out with the old, in with the new. Hey, we finna let it all hang out. We ain't hiding no more. Which means our agenda's not even hiding anymore. Brother Minister C sent me a good Instagram pic. I've never been on Instagram. Now I've looked on there. But he sent me this Instagram pic. Burger King got an official Instagram or tweet. Excuse me, I think it was a tweet. One of them things. But anyway, my point is, brother said, yeah, yo, what's really in your nuggets, because y'all don't say chicken on the commercial. And the response back was, chicken. What's your chain made of? Now they may have gotten a black comedian to do the tweet backs or whatever. They know how to do that urban marketing, ethnic marketing thing. That may be it. But Burger King ain't got no respect for you. Church's Chicken ain't got no respect for you. They playing you. All that grease. Give you 100 pieces of chicken for 10 cents. Something is wrong. Popeyes ain't got no respect for you. You eat that voodoo stuff. That lion lady, I can't stand that lady. I don't like her more than I don't like Ronald McDonald and the Burger King combined. Because I'm telling you, I'm always more upset when I'm tricked by mine. Now you supposed to be standing there look like somebody auntie talking about you cooked that chicken. Oh, my chicken and my crawfish. You're gonna enjoy. You ain't cooked nothing. You a spokeswoman, and your job is to try to reel in. You bad as Obeezy. Your job supposed to be trying to reel in brothers and sisters. And in the one commercial, I'm gonna find that. I'm gonna put it on the video. I don't like it just that much. One commercial, she's standing on a balcony, I guess standing over Bourbon Street or whatever in the French Quarter. She's on a terrace or a balcony, and she's facing the camera, but you can look down and behind her, and you can see a row of some of the stores and shops and bars and whatnot. And down there is a voodoo lady black craft shop in clear view. I believe it had neon green lights. And I thought to myself, nah, there's a lot of spots she could have been standing on. But that was just showing you right there that they are bewitching you with that commercial. And the Colonel, okay, her and the Colonel tied. The plantation look don't say it all. I don't know what to say for you. And I got one of them commercials. I'm gonna show. Maybe put some commercials on my movie. Put some of my most hated commercials on my movie. I got to find that Mary J. Blige commercial where she was singing for chicken. But so that's what we're gonna stop it right here, because I do believe that that's enough time. I want to try to get this up. Still putting the finishing touches on the movie, and we will return to the reading of Ezra on the next Bible reading. I want everyone to have a joyous fast, stay in good cheer, have a merry heart, and a bright countenance. Okay? Let people see the light of the Lord on your face. Don't let everybody look at you and wonder if you're going to rob them or something today. Put a look on your face that says, hey, I'm okay. Do that for the Lord. Don't do it for me. But God bless you, and may you be the best you today that you can be, and better than you were yesterday. And I ask the same for me. Much love. Shalom.